And welcome back to the Bishop's Court. And of course, we will get into the baseball moves. As promised, I am your host, Jason Bishop. And the other big move, we talked about the first one that was made earlier in the week with Jason Worth signing with the Nationals. Well, let's talk about the big other free agent name on the market, Carl Crawford. He is now a Boston Red Sox, signing a 7-year, $142 million deal. Unreal. That's around $20 million a year for what the Red Sox now will be paying Carl Crawford. The Red Sox have never paid any player $20 million or upward ever. This also comes from an organization that has consistently complained about the Yankees' spending habits, and yet they turn right back around and doing it. It's kind of like the pot calling the kettle black. I'll get into that in a little while. I want to talk about Carl Crawford right now. 7 years, $142 million for a player. Granted, he is still in the prime of his career, but for a player, these are the numbers that he put up. 307, pretty decent average, 19 home runs, and 90 RBIs. He didn't even hit 20 home runs, and he didn't even drive in 100 runs. Again, same kind of deal with Jason Worth, an absorbent amount of money for a B player. That's right, Carl Crawford is a B player. What he does give you that a lot of other free agents don't is the ability to run and steal bases. But still, the numbers that baseball players are paid upon are 4 things. Those things are on base percentage. Those things are home runs, RBIs, and average. Those are what baseball players are paid upon, as well as slugging if you're a power hitter. But still, those main 4 things: on base percentage, home runs, RBIs, average. Carl Crawford's on base percentage, .356. I mean, that's really good. It's not bad. It's not 7 years, $142 million, though. The Red Sox overspend for a free agent, much like their hated rivals. 7 years, $142 million for a guy that hit 307, 19 home runs, and 90 RBIs. I guess that's the way the market is right now. You know, you look at that and you look across the country with the way the economy is, and you're paying a guy $142 million over the next 7 years. Unreal. Some other moves that were made: the Red Sox also making noise at the winter meetings. They made a huge trade with the San Diego Padres, landing first baseman Adrian Gonzalez. That is a big, big deal. Adrian Gonzalez is a player. He's an elite player. You don't hear a lot about him because he plays over in San Diego, but the guy can swing the bat. He consistently puts up good numbers. This is what he did this past season: 298, 31 homers, 101 RBIs. A lot different than Carl Crawford's numbers. Adrian Gonzalez would have been worth every penny of that contract that Carl Crawford or Jason Worth got. Every penny. But the Red Sox just got a lot better. They now have a guy that can hit either leadoff or second in their order, hit toward the top of their order, be on base a bunch, and they added another power bat in the middle of their order, in Adrian Gonzalez, who is also a superb defensive first baseman. San Diego, of course, was in the running right up until the last day to get into the playoffs last season. They lose their best player. It's got to hurt. They're trying to get their payroll down to about $40 million. They accomplished a lot of that by unloading Gonzalez and not having to pay him. Plus, he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. Good deal for the Padres since they were trying to unload salary. Good deal for the Red Sox. They're trying to compete with the Yankees in the spending wars. You know, I was talking earlier about how the Yankees in previous years have overpaid for free agents, and the Red Sox have kind of been like the little brother that was just like, you shouldn't do that. It's going to come back and get you in the end. They're doing the exact same thing. A few years ago, I mean, don't get me wrong, I despise the Yankees. I do. I am not a Yankees guy. For that very reason that the Red Sox complained about him. I don't feel that it's good for baseball to spend that much money on players and have a level of elite players, a high level of elite players, all in one area, all for one team. I don't think it's good for baseball. But it's good for the Yankees, so that's really all that matters. Major League Baseball is very concerned about what is good for the Yankees. But my point is, I dislike the Yankees because of that. Because they go out and they spend ridiculous amounts of money for players, and it keeps the balance of power uneven in baseball. That's why every year you got the same teams in the playoffs. The good players are going to the same places, the places that can afford to pay them. That's why. And I was kind of a Red Sox fan for a little while. Especially that year, I believe it was 04, they came all the way back against the Yankees down 3-0. That got my attention. I started rooting for them a little bit. Their payroll wasn't ridiculous. They had some good players that were paid fair market value. The Josh Beckett contract, think about that. Daisuke Matsuzaka, that was a huge contract. They began to do it. They began to overspend for guys. J.D. Drew got a big deal. They began to play the same game the Yankees were playing, but still throwing mud at the Yankees. Look, if you're going to do it, don't throw mud at the Yankees. If you're doing the same exact thing they are, don't throw mud at them. Because you are doing the same thing. You just did it. You just paid a ridiculous amount of money for Carl Crawford. Ridiculous amount. 7 years, $142 million. That's what you just did. Don't throw mud at them. You're just like them. You're doing the same exact thing. A couple other moves that were made at the winter meetings. Lance Berkman signed with the Cardinals. Of course, we all know him from his Houston Astro days. Terms not disclosed on the contract so far. We don't know how much the Cardinals are paying him. Berkman's 34 years old. 5-time NL All-Star. Pretty good move for the Cardinals. It gives them a solid bat. He's not going to hit in the middle of the order anymore, though. He'll probably hit maybe 6th, maybe 7th. Cardinals will have a good lineup again. Also, the Baltimore Orioles, they traded for Mark Reynolds from Arizona. Mark Reynolds, one of those guys that can just flat out swing it. Hits a lot of home runs, strikes out a bunch too. Strikes out a ton. Doesn't hit for a high average, but hits a lot of home runs. Hit 198 this past season. Hit 32 home runs, but hit 198. He's got to get that up. 198. Pretty good defensive third baseman. Not bad. There are better. There are far worse. The Orioles wanted the home runs. 32 of them. That's what they're going to get. They're going to get a guy that's probably going to hit them about 230 as well. Well, don't go anywhere, because we come back on the Bishop's Court. We're going to talk about the shocking out-of-nowhere resignation by the Florida head coach, Urban Meyer.